Let's discuss this further with Robert Templer, who's in Barcelona, and he's the author of the Shah's Party and the Iranian Revolution that followed. Robert, welcome to TRT World. What do you make of these reports from Axios?
Well, Steve Witkoff seems to have a very broad mandate to talk to all sorts of people around the place. So it doesn't surprise me that they are connecting with the Crown Prince, with the son of the late Shah. He's certainly been positioning himself very aggressively in recent weeks during these demonstrations. And he's been fairly outspoken in terms of his desire to play some sort of role in the future of Iran.
And you say he's been positioning himself quite aggressively, but how would you describe Reza Pahlavi's popularity in Iran right now, given apparently, I understand that he hasn't set foot in the country since 1979?
Yeah, it's certainly longer than that, actually. He left in 1978. But it's very hard to tell how popular he is. He certainly has name recognition in Iran, which very few other people do. He certainly has some support, but it's very easy to overestimate his support because much of the media that we're seeing is coming from the Iranian diaspora. They tend to favor him, and so they tend to amplify his positions. What we do know in Iran, though, is about 40% of the population are various ethnic groups that don't necessarily have very fond memories of his father's rule and may be resistant to any future role for Reza Pahlavi.
And given what you're saying about the difference of viewpoints on his popularity, how likely is it that he could be the new figurehead for whatever comes next? Should the regime fall, and should we hear, well, we're waiting to see what Donald Trump says in the next few hours when he meets with his security team?
Well, he doesn't have a network in Iran. He doesn't have people who are particularly loyal to him. And it's certainly been the case that in the past century, relatively few monarchies have been reestablished. So if that's what he's thinking about, I think that's probably very unlikely. If he's considering some other role, maybe as an intermediary, as a figure who reaches out and tries to bring everyone together, then I think that might be possible. But there are also people within Iran, most of them, unfortunately, in jail or in detention of some form, who have much more credibility with the current sort of generation out there. People like the Nobel laureate Narges Mohammadi. These people are probably more likely to emerge as really serious opposition figures if the government either changes its position or if it does fall. But that is a very big if at the moment. We really don't know how this is going to play out.
And of course, Bob, you follow this very closely around all the developments. What are you hearing from people there in Iran? Of course, there is the internet blackout, but what have you been hearing?
Well, immense shock because of the very high death toll. We don't know what that death toll is, but certainly there are figures going around of in the thousands of people. And that is a truly shocking figure. The revolutionary government has always said that 60,000 people died during the revolution in 78, early 79. That's not actually true. The most likely figure is about 3,000 people who died in that entire year of the Islamic Revolution. What we might have just seen is that many people die in a week of very, very brutal violence against these demonstrators. So I think there's an incredible level of shock. There's just an incredible challenges that people are facing there. No money, no food, ATMs aren't working, markets aren't open. It's becoming a social and economic crisis as well as a political crisis. And it's very hard to see how the government is going to get out of this, what it can do to actually fix the currency, address inflation, deal with food shortages, and really tackle the sort of misery that Iranians are facing.
Robert, thank you so much for speaking to us here on TRT World. Thank you for your time and your insights. Robert Templer, author of The Shah's Party and the Iranian Revolution that followed. Thank you.